Pathways. How are you today? I'm sitting here in front of my refrigerator. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today, following up a bit on what I talked to you last week about, which is using Feng Shui to support your New Year's resolutions, and also segueing into what I'm going to talk about next week, which is the energy and the chi of stuff, the stuff that you surround yourself with. So let me start with a confession. Right here in my freezer, I brought this up the other day. It was actually stuffed downstairs in my storage freezer for the last 2.5 years. It is a frozen bag of smoothie ingredients from 2.5 years ago. And so let me tell you the 2.5 year ago story first. It wasn't New Year's, but it was the start of the school year. Both of my kids were going to be heading to school for the most part full time, and I of course planned to be the Pinterest healthy mom of the year. And so I spent a lot of time and a lot of money looking at Pinterest and organizing all of my food and snacks and getting everything ready so that they would have healthy food and healthy snacks as they went off to school. And so now I call this 2.5 years later my Pinterest bag of failure. And for the last 2.5 years, it has gotten pushed further and further and further back into our storage freezer. And we've been eating really not healthy at all. So we failed. I failed at being the Pinterest healthy mom of the year that year and the following year. So I want to talk to you about that bag because I think we all have stuff like that in our house. Might not be food. It could be a hobby that you started 10 years ago, that you're just, maybe you invested a lot of time into it, invested a lot of money into it, invested a lot of energy and hopes and dreams, and it just didn't come to pass for whatever reason. That's my cat, who's going to be annoying right now, but just ignore her. It's hard to let go of this, and that's why it's been sitting in my freezer for 2.5 years. This is my cat Peaches. Say hello. Okay. Now say goodbye. Bye-bye. Okay, let's see if she can disappear. So it's hard to let go of things like that because they carry a lot of energy and a lot of emotion with them. So when I look at that bag, I see the failure. I have a hard time throwing it away because that admits that I failed at it. It also represents money. It was a lot of money and a lot of my personal energy to put those together. And I feel guilty about letting that go and just tossing it after buying it and putting all of that into that. This may sound strange, but there's a little bit of grief wrapped up in that bag because a month after I had laid out all these plans and put everything in place, my mom passed away and a lot of plans changed. So a little bag carrying grief, carrying guilt, carrying the feeling of failure, and quite honestly, it also has a bit of resentment in it because the one time that I did actually pull the ingredients out and make something healthy, a healthy smoothie for my kids, they didn't like it. And I felt resentful and hurt that they didn't appreciate that I had done all of this work for their benefit. And so I took this little bag, kept it in the freezer, and just kept tucking it back further and further away over the last 2.5 years. Let that sit in for a minute. You'd think I would know better, but it's hard for all of us, and we all get to the moment of clarity at our own time. So don't beat yourself up if you have something like this lurking in your background that's been longer than 2.5 years, because it's hard to face because of all that emotion. And anyway, it's been sitting there, I've tucked it away, but what I want you to recognize is that everything in our external environment is a reflection of what's going on inside. So I was pushing that further and further back into the back of the freezer, and also pushing a little bit of that guilt and grief and resentment and failure further and further inside of me. So by not letting go of the physical stuff that's related to it around me, I wasn't able to let go of that emotion. So it's a new year. Last week we talked about New Year's resolutions. Try not to make New Year's resolutions, but I do have some goals, and I do want to be healthy. So I'm trying again. And I know you might be thinking, well, you failed before, why would you try again? And that's probably why 2.5 years went by before I did try again. But I'm in a different place. And so I want you to notice that it becomes easier to face things and easier to let go of things as we evolve and as we change and as we come to a new place of clarity. So new year, new healthy goals. I do have a lot more clarity. So last month I was sick a lot. I was really sick and down and out for multiple days, where I didn't even make dinner for my family or take the kids to the bus stop. I felt really lousy. Multiple symptoms, and I just couldn't get over it. And so part of the new clarity for me is that my body is simply saying, you can't eat and take care of yourself the way you have been. So I need to eat healthy for me, and I'm going to do that. So inside my fridge yesterday, it's going to be hard to see, but I can assure you that there's cut fruit, there's freshly cooked brown rice, there's some chicken in there, there's some cut fruit and cut vegetables. I have done it again. I didn't do it with as much gusto as I did with this. I'm coming at it from a different place. Number one, I know I need it. Number two, it's for me this time and not for somebody else. And number three, I know what my limitations are. I put a lot of energy into that prep work, and it made it a lot harder to look at the failure. I bit off a little bit less this time, and I think I can manage it. I know what I can manage better. My family's in a different place. The kids are older. They can get themselves dressed now. We've had 2 years of practice of getting up and getting ready on time and not having crazy mornings. So I think that will make it all easier. And the good thing is that they're old enough that they can actually help me with some of this stuff. So I'm in a different place, and that's why I can try again. And so if you have a failure in your past and some symptoms of the failure hanging around in your house, I hope you'll take a look at it. I hope you'll really take some time to think about the energy and emotion that's involved in it, and just come to terms with it. And that's going to allow you to not only make space in yourself to try again, but by letting go of the physical stuff around you, it's going to make space in your house so that you can try again. So it's a new year. If you're setting new goals, go ahead and think about that. Take a look and reflect at what didn't work in the past, and see if you're ready to release some things and make some room for something new. I have a client in the past. She was somebody who had spent a ton of money and set up a ton of her space for a hobby of oil painting, and then she never really pursued it. And she wanted to try something else. She was actually looking to get into some paper crafting, but she wouldn't allow herself to invest her time and energy into it. And she also didn't have the room. She wouldn't release the stuff that was there. And that took a lot of working through for her to let go of that and make room for the next adventure in her life. That's sometimes what we have to do. We all do it at our own pace, and when we're ready for it. Next week I'm going to talk a little bit more about the energy of stuff and how it keeps us stuck from moving forward. Feng Shui is all about keeping the energy moving and shifting and supporting us so that we can evolve and grow and get where we want to go. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to throw out, I'm going to go create a little frozen compost pile out in the yard, and I'm going to move on from my failures of the past. I'm not going to be the Pinterest Healthy Mom of the Year this year, but I am going to bite off a few healthier habits. So wish me luck. And good luck to you. Happy New Year. I'll see you next week.